Hey, it's Williee Armellini with Flowers and Scents with your floral industry buzz. Okay, today I'm going to interview a very interesting character. Her name is Katie Lila, and she has a program called Flowers for People. And she has a PBS show apparently where she is trying to get more people to buy flowers and use flowers and be artistic with flowers and all sorts of things. And I ran into her and I thought, this is an interesting person. So let's find out more about her and what she's up to. So without further ado, Katie Lila. Okay, Katie Lila, Flowers for People. So, in my travels here, I ran across you, I think at Florida Expo, where you were hanging out with my friends at Continental Flowers. And Eric says, you got to go talk to her. And I said, all right, let me go talk to her, see what she's up to. So, when somebody says to me, look, I have a PBS show about flowers, I'm like, okay. That's pretty interesting because the only other person I know that has that is my friend Jay Schwenke, and for you to have one is like interesting. And I have to admit, by looking over all your social media and your website, and I'm still a little confused about exactly what you do. All right.
Ah,
It seems to me you're a florist, and I see it's a or you were a florist, or are a florist, and that you have taken it to the next level of art, if I got that right. And while, having just come from AFID, I think there's a difference. I've learned that creating an arrangement, if you're creating an artful arrangement is one thing.
mm,
Creating art out of flowers, which they do there very elaborately with decorations and all sorts of other things besides flowers. So
yeah.
I sort of draw that distinction there. But rather than me try to explain it, why don't you tell me what you're up to?
Sure, sure. Yeah, it was great meeting you, Willie. And you, I think you have a, a wonderful, you've built this wonderful culture around flowers, and everybody that I've talked to about you has wonderful things to say. So, um, you know, yes. Yeah, so I guess what I'm up to is creating a flower platform that celebrates getting more people's hands on flowers in fun ways, simple ways, innovative ways, spectacular ways, right? So just creating more bridges for everyone to experience flowers and trying to break down any barriers that might be there, celebrate what we've built in the industry, and allow more people to access that. So,
And how you doing that? How are you going about doing that?
sure. Well, it has been quite a journey. I started as a wedding florist, working in a shop and kind of learning the trade there. And then from there, I had my own flower company for several years while I raised my babies while my husband was in medical school. Um, Mostly did weddings and events. And then once we moved here about 9 years ago, I'm in Spokane, Washington, just eastern side of the state next to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I wanted to have more of that hands-on where people were playing with flowers. I saw that a lot of people didn't really get to access flowers besides at a wedding or an event. And I wanted to create a space in which they could, um, take down that intimidation wall and just play. So I started doing hands-on workshops. I met all my local growers, started using local flowers in the season, which is only half the year here. And then, of course, imported flowers the other half. And just started to watch people change when they touched flowers, right? At first, they thought, I can't do this. I'm not professional. I'm not artistic. I'm not creative. And then once they started allowing themselves to just play and create, then they kind of cracked open. And I saw what flowers did to people, right? So that was really fun. I started doing big, innovative community flower. experiences where people could come and help build something with flowers together. And once I started doing that, I realized one, I love that. I love not showing people the end result, but allowing them to be part of the end result. And instead of coming to a design and just looking at it, they were able to be part of it. And so I started filming that a little bit. And that eventually, from source to spectacle, led to Follow the Blooms, which is the PBS show that I'm producing now. And that now takes all of my time. So I no longer do workshops or, traditional floristry. I'm mostly creating the show.
Well, a very ambitious project, for sure. And I, again, coming from these retail events here, this to watch people, these young people come in and go into this workshop and then come out with their arrangement, that they've created, and to see the smiles on their faces and sort of like a proud, walking with a proud puppy in their hands, that they just,
Right,
it's,
right.
it's quite interesting to do so. But what Jay did teach me, with PBS is that the trick is funding, getting money to do all this stuff. Because obviously, unless your husband's funding all this, you need funds to make these happen, right?
Yes, that is true. Everything takes money, right? Time, energy, and money.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, so that's always the balancing act of finding sponsors, connecting with uh, projects that are going to align with your funding and your time and energy, working with different people that are willing to coordinate and collaborate with you, so you can meet those funding marks. And then also, um, really a couple of avenues that I'm trying to do to sustain the production of the show also. So you can use funding, use sponsors as part of that, and then you can also have your own source of income, right?
Well, I have I have potentially funders out there that might be listening to this that might be
Mm.
interested in supporting you. And I guess the question would be, how would they reach out to you, and what you would bring them? I guess it's a general overall flower adventure. More power
Yeah.
to flowers, and more people handling flowers and touching flowers and using flowers and appreciating flowers. So, growers and importers and breeders, I would imagine, hopefully would be potential sponsors for you. So we'll throw that out there while I'm here. And
Thank you. Yeah.
so, do you have this? Is the show already on?
Yes. So the show is one season, 10 episodes, aired regionally here in Pacific Northwest. And then this last spring, 2026, started airing nationally, which is super exciting, through American Public Television on PBS.
Right.
And that will air for 2 years. And then we are currently building season two. So we're filming season two. So yes, you can watch Follow the Blooms. You just search it on PBS, streamable anytime, or you can check your local airtime and see when it would show up in your area.
And what's the response been, by the way?
The response is positive. People are excited about it. It's fun to start hearing from, just getting emails or social media messages that people are. I did have a really sweet experience the other day that felt like a godsend walking into my public library. I was, just taking my kids in, and a woman stopped and said, "Oh, you're on Follow the Blooms. I love that show. The world is so heavy and dark, and it's just a bright spot. So thank you. And I love the stories you're telling." That was really lovely. And she
Um,
said, "You probably have lots of fans." And I said, "You're actually the first. So thank you."
well, I've had similar experiences when people tell me they like what I do. It's quite heartwarming and sort of validates the effort you put into it, because you don't get a lot of feedback a lot of times because you're throwing stuff out there and hopefully people read it. Many
Correct.
years ago when
Yes.
I started this, I've been doing this since 2001, since I started Flowers and Scents, so it's been a while. Um,
Yes. Congratulations. 25 years.
yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
the original floral blog, I call it.
Yeah.
And getting that feedback, because originally you got a lot of feedback, and then, social media took over, and there's so many ways to provide feedback or not feedback, or there's so many distractions that it's hard to get a direct, reply. But when you see somebody and they run over to you and say, "Hey, by the way, I read everything you write and I love it," it's like, yay. It's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
It does validate it. So what's next? Showing them, bringing the show to the people, I guess, is, getting people. And when you get somebody excited about flowers, okay, I
Hmm.
imagine you get donations of flowers, so you have product to work with in your designs. But the average person doesn't have a flower farm in their backyard or friends in the flower business that can get those. So you do have to buy flowers at some point and to create your events or your creation. And there's a bunch of ways to do that, as we know these days. You can walk into a supermarket and get a nice deal on a big bunch of flowers that you can take home and dissect and make floor arrangements out of. Um, is that sort of somehow your approach, or how's that going?
Um, I think kind of different avenues here, right? If I'm getting bulk flowers for a big project, I have made a rule that if I'm using a local flower farmer that has very small margin, right? As we know, then I
Yeah.
buy their flowers. I want to
Okay.
buy their flowers. I want to support them. They don't see a huge return on donating flowers, right?
Sure.
So for them, I always try to buy flowers. I have had some beautiful donations from, like Continental has done some donations for projects and other. We just featured Memorial Day flowers, and of course, I met your brother out in
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
DC.
You were there. Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, which was really, really
That's a
fabulous.
that's a wonderful event. Yeah.
Yes, and they buy some flowers, but as you know, get most donated from around
Right.
the world.
Yep.
So those are mass flowers, right? But yeah, if I'm doing a small project, I grow a lot of flowers, just hobby grower. I buy a lot of flowers from my friends. I have lots of flower farmer friends around. I always try to support them in their seasons. Um, and then yes, of course, I love going to the grocery store and picking up a fun bunch, mixing it up. I don't think there's a bad way to buy flowers. I think there's, right? I think you buy them, you grow them, you get them, however you can get them. And that's,
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky. I live here in Florida, so I can grow flowers. I have
mm,
roses in the backyard and orchids in the backyard that
wow.
I'm always happy to go out there and pluck something out of there that and bring it into the house because it's especially wonderful when you grow them yourselves because then you have some dirt under your fingernails, so to speak.
That's
And
so true.
they're coming down my hat. Hello.
Oh,
Good
you're
morning.
chosen.
Good
That's a
morning.
lucky thing.
Um,
Yeah,
okay, because I was probably outside in the garden. So,
yeah.
okay, my question would be then, who's your audience? Is the whole world your audience? Is the
Well, I mean, you can't, if you make the whole world your audience, then no one's listening, right?
It's too big.
But
Okay.
yeah, but I like to think of my audience as flower dreamers, people that are interested in flowers and interested in a dream, a story, right? I love finding a story that's either a spectacle or it has a really good heartbeat. I think you and I are similar in that we love telling the story of the people behind the petals, right? How, who are these? How many hands have touched these flowers? Where did they come from? How did they get here? Who creates with them? And then allowing the end viewer to experience that story. So, people that are interested in flowers and nature and really good stories. I think the flower industry has these incredible stories,
They
right?
do.
Love stories, sad stories, beautiful stories.
Yes, there are many, and having spent a lot of times on flower farms and in foreign lands and watched the whole process, it's yeah, there's quite a story, and I've always tried to balance this. I grew up hauling domestic flowers, and my family was in the trucking business, so we would haul domestic flowers because that's all there was. And
Right?
and then over time, I moved to Miami during the import revolution, and sort of became really involved with the importing part of it, and saw what they did. And I've done flower farms and watched the people and watched the care and the passion that goes into growing these flowers. And I've tried to defend as best as possible when, during holidays and when the bad press comes out and the kids, the flower people are eating their kids, or they're having to make work on the farms, or they're, all sorts of terrible things, and they're chemicals and blah, blah, blah. And
Mm.
I've been on the farms, I've seen it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but my experience has been that flower people take care of their people because that's what they have. That's who creates the flowers, really.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
and then there's been always a conflict between domestic growers and imported growers. That has
Sure.
luckily calmed down. I don't
Mm.
see the fight anymore. I think domestic growers grow what they can grow effectively, and make money on, and South American growers or African growers do the same things. Not everything translates. Some flowers
Sure.
don't grow well in South America and grow better in Holland or US, some and vice versa. So it's interesting to see where we're going to get flowers from. But I'm very optimistic about the flower business because it's a wonderful thing. We sell wonderful product. It's a happy thing. It's a something you can touch. It's got texture. It's got feeling. It's got fragrance. So um, I like it, as you might imagine.
Yeah. That's great because that was one of my big questions for you was how do you feel about like the future of the industry, having lived all of these chapters and seen a lot of change? And um, I think it's fascinating. I would like to, of course, have hours to talk about your experience, but I know we don't have hours, but but I think it's fascinating everything you've seen and lived through.
Well, I don't know if I gave you a copy of my book, but if I didn't, we'll
Mm.
get you one because that explains the whole story.
Oh, perfect.
I wrote
Wrote a
it
book.
down. It's called Flowers Come From Where? That's
Okay, I love it.
the name of the book because nobody really knows. Oh, flowers, they come from South America? Oh my God. In jet planes
Sure.
and yeah, all sorts of things. So, all right, Miss
Cool.
Katie.
I would
Well,
love to
look,
hear
it's been a fun 20 minutes here. It goes fast because I don't like to leave them too long because people don't listen if you go too long.
it.
And I
Wow,
hope
that is advice.
that this gives you some exposure. I don't know that you need it, but I think everybody needs as much exposure as possible. You're trying to help people love flowers and not be afraid of flowers. And
Yeah.
for me, that's a wonderful thing because they're not scary. They're
Mm.
fun to play with, and they sort of talk to you if you listen.
That's true. I'm a huge believer in that. Let's
All
see.
right, Miss Katie Lila, I will,
Lila.
Lila,
Lila,
sorry.
my grandma's name. Yeah.
Been practicing it all morning too.
No worries.
Okay, well, I'll publish this in about 2 weeks, and thank you, and I hope you get some good positive press out of it.
Can I share one thing we're
You
looking for
may,
season two?
sure.
So in season one, it was, with what we were building, we kind of kept the designs a little bit more reachable for us. But with season two and three, I'm really after this floral spectacle, right? So I want the wow factor to increase, and I want to be able to capture the things that are already happening in the world, right? There's lots of floral spectacle happening, where people are interacting with flowers in great ways. So if people have something they're doing to create or be part of or grow or design a large floral spectacle or even just a really great story with a heartbeat, I would love to hear
Here.
from
Okay.
from those people. Yeah. So, we were on small flower farms in season one. Season two, we're going to head down to Colombia and South America, Ecuador,
Okay.
and learn the farm stories there. So really source to spectacle throughout the world is what we're shooting for.
And how do they find you?
Oh yeah, Flowers for People on social media or my website. And then you can email, you can direct message. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Flowers for People. And
Flowers
then,
for
of course,
People.
on PBS is Follow the Blooms. Mhm.
And I did notice, as we talked about, your flowersforpeople.co,
That is true.
which would
Yes.
imply that it was from Colombia, but it's not necessarily, but maybe that's where you registered it. But nonetheless, and I didn't, what I was going to do this morning, to type in .com to see what happens. Have you done
Oh,
that?
I actually own that one too. So you're good.
Good job. All right, Miss Katie, thank you for your time, and you have a great day. And
Yeah, lovely meeting you.
flowers for
Good
people, I
chatting.
love it. Keep it up.
Take care.
Ciao.